Good evening, everyone. You welcome to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Équinoxe Television. In our top stories, popular Cameroonian artist Tenor is in a critical state at the Douala Lakentini Hospital after he was involved in an accident that occurred early today. That's at about 4 a.m. at the Ferrous Besenge neighborhood here in Douala. He is hospitalized at the Lakentini Hospital alongside his driver and another lady. One of his fans, a 22-year-old girl called Erica, died on the spot. His vehicle on which they were on board ignited. It was caught flames, and the parents of the 22-year-old girl stormed the Douala Lakentini Hospital in tears. You will be witnessing that scene in this edition of the newscast. We also talk about public road users who have been held accountable for continuous accidents in the west region of the country, notably on the national roads number 6 linking Kutaba and Fumbot. In less than 4 days, 3 persons have been recorded, or 3 persons have died along that stretch of the roads. For me, Armstrong Sanda will be bringing us details. Those were our top stories. Good evening. Once again, you welcome to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Équinoxe Television. We told you in headlines that a popular Cameroonian artist Tenor has been hospitalized at the Douala Lakentini Hospital. He is in a critical state after he sustained severe injuries on board his car that burnt down early this Thursday, July 15. In Douala, the tragic incident reportedly occurred at about 4 a.m. this Thursday, July 15, at the Carrefour Ferrous Besenge neighborhood in Douala. Tenor was on board his car alongside 3 other persons, including his driver and a 22-year-old girl called Erica, identified as Erica, just like I indicated, a year 1 university student in Douala. She died on the spot. They were on their way back from an evening show at the French Institute to celebrate French music as part of activities commemorating Bastille Day. Reports say the car crossed onto a rock and burnt down instantly. The young girl was trapped in the flames and died on the spot, calcined by flames. Meanwhile, Tenor and the 3 other persons with him sustained severe injuries and were transported to the Lakentini Hospital. Sources say he is in a critical condition, though others are saying that he has regained consciousness. The family of Erica, who are yet to come to terms with her sudden and tragic departure, stormed the Lakentini Hospital this morning, crying and demanding explanations as to what happened to their daughter, who only left for fun but unfortunately met her doom. And we will be getting the full report of that accident that claims the life of the 22-year-old girl who is a fan of Tenor. She was on board the car alongside Tenor, another lady, and the driver, Tenor, who is in a critical state at the Douala Lakentini Hospital. Simanjikan Gabriel has been following that incident. He compiled this report.
4 a.m. Thursday, the car belonging to Thierry Mengumu, aka Tenor Abanflang, in flames at the Ferrous Besenge roundabout, Douala 1 subdivision. Tenor was in Douala Wednesday as a guest artist in an event that celebrated the anniversary of France.
La voiture de Tenor, ça venait vers École Publique.
The car on which Tenor was inside was driving on top speed as it headed towards the roundabout.
Même il nous a fait comprendre qu'il a raté le carrefour. Donc il n'a pas vu le carrefour.
Arriving at the roundabout, he made a collision, which later saw the car catching flames. According to a media release by Tenor's manager Tapi, after his performance, Tenor left the site of the concert to meet with his fans before this accident occurred. Since we were very close, we came straight towards Tenor to help him out of his car. Out of the two ladies inside the car, one died because she came out through the car's window and hit her head on the ground.
Moi j'ai vécu la scène, j'étais déjà à 200 mètres de là, quand j'ai entendu tout.
All victims were rushed to the Lakentini hospital, amongst them 22-year-old student Erica Mulium, who died as a result of the accident. The father of Erica says Tenor must get married to his dead daughter. Tell that boy that he has attacked a lion. My daughter came to Douala to study. She was in a dormitory school, and I wish to see that since Tenor is still alive, he should start preparing quietly to travel to Bamun, where she will get married to my daughter. The lifeless body of little Erica Mulium has been transported to Fumban in the West region. The other victims are receiving medical attention.
Public transport sector officials have been blamed for the high rates of road accidents along the National Road number 6 linking Kutaba and Fumbot in the west region of the country. In less than 4 days, at least 3 persons are said to have died on that stretch of the roads. For me, Armstrong Sander has details.
The Kutaba-Fumbot stretch of the National Road number 6 is fast becoming infamous for recurrent accidents. Local inhabitants say fatal accidents are reported here on daily basis. Kutabchu Ibrahim, mayor of Kutaba, says his people are worried as at least 3 persons died in 4 different accidents within the last 3 days in his municipality.
En 2 jours, nous avons eu 4 cas d'accident.
Within 2 days, we have had 4 accident cases and 3 deaths with several others wounded.
The mayor thinks public sector transport officials should be blamed for the lives lost.
There are no effective road security measures, and my people are suffering. You can see that the only speed brakes available is at the military camp.
He believes the solution is
let them put up speed brakes at the entrance to the airport, the entrance to the market, the former council building, schools and the Kutaba main market.
Nous avons encore l'entrée des établissements publics.
He says this strategy has proven effective in Fumbot subdivision and the case of Kutaba will not be different.
We talk increase in human rights violations and abuse in Cameroon, just to indicate that in the context of this increased human rights violations and abuse in the country's human rights organization is urging all to put hands on deck to fight the ill, though it is the responsibility of governments to protect citizens and their rights. The Commission says it is also the duty of other stakeholders, including civil society leaders, to ensure that human rights and freedoms are respected. This is the focus of a 2-day meeting bringing together state and non-state stakeholders in Douala after Parliament voted and the head of state promulgated into law a new legal framework governing the Cameroon Human Rights Commission. Its officials say they are going the exact mile to enhance the contribution of the civil society to the human rights fight. For greater details, here is an excerpt of a member of the commission, Chief Dr. Ngale Mbonjo. Take a listen.
Looking at the 2019 reports, we noted that 90% of violation of human rights are due to the non-etatic organization. But all people are talking about the 10% due to the state. So we want to make everybody understand that the fight, the defense of the Roma right is not only the problem of the state, it's only of the problem of all of us. You know, it's a new law voted last year by the parliament and promulgated by the head of state. And our commission want to implement a new deal with the civil society organization for the fight for human rights. In this purpose, we are going to talk with them during 2 days. We are going to talk with this organization and give them some priorities, explain the law.
Evaluating the just returned General Certificate of Education exams, the educationist and divisional officer of Tombel, as well as other administrative authorities in the Mungo division of the Littoral region, say the exams unfolded hit-free. Students, most of whom are internally displaced persons, say they wrote in all serenity, though they were afraid of insecurity. Some of them also stressed that they find it difficult adopting in the French-speaking zone. Details in this report with Charles Ekume.
According to some candidates who sat in for the GCE examination 2021 session within the context of the Anglophone crisis, say the biggest challenge they faced while writing their exams was fear. The examination, which began in June and ended in July, went on hitch-free in Tombel in the Kupe-Maninguba division of the restive Southwest region.
When we were in class, we were a bit scared, but we thank God that we wrote well.
Even in class, we were a bit frightened, but we thank God because everything went well. We are praying to God Almighty to help us to see this situation that we are going through. Things don't go well here in the Anglophone zones, Southwest and Northwest, the crisis. Everything is hard. It has made a lot of lives have been lost because of this crisis.
Internally displaced Anglophone students who now take refuge in Lum in the neighboring Mungo division of the Littoral region pinpoint the problems they face studying in a Francophone zone.
Differences between the Anglophone regions and the Francophone regions is the educational system here is hard. Reason being that us that we are from the Anglophone regions, we feel difficulties with the French language. And now, as an IDP, what we feel here is accommodation. The accommodation here is too high.
An educationist and the divisional officer of Tombel, Leonard Niam, say the GCE examinations for 2021 recorded a positive balance sheet.
At least the practicals went through, it was perfect, the students have expressed their skills. All what we have been teaching them, we are happy that at the end they have given it back to us.
You will agree with me that the general certificate examinations and the first school leaving examination started almost on the same day under very good conditions. And of course the GCE examinations too ended well without any incident. This testifies the mobilization of the population because they regroup themselves in vigilant committees in order to ensure security.
Although the GCE examinations ended with no major incident in Tombel and Lum respectively, locals still see the Anglophone crisis continues to affect their communities.
Before we take you to new parts of the country, we talk sports to indicate that the Olembe Sports Complex in Yaoundé will host the Cameroon-Malawi encounter in September 2021. The Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, noted that yesterday during an inspection visit at the construction site. The encounter planned for September the 2nd is counting for qualifiers for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Works are on course at the sites as the radio and TV reporting cabin is being set. As of the country now, tension is still on the rise in South Africa Despite efforts and calls for peace to be maintained or reinstated, locals continue to loot shops, destroy properties, and litter the streets. Security officials had a hard time on Wednesday by trying to bring sanity. They fired shots to deter the crowd. Dozens of concerned men decided to take matters in their own hands as they carried sticks, guns, and metal rods. Police and security chiefs in South Africa have called on the population to stop riots following the arrest of more than 100 people on Tuesday in connection to the looting of a mall. Meantime, reports say the military has doubled the number of troops deployed to quell the violence. The number of troops is said to have risen from 2,500 to 5,000. On Wednesday morning, at least 72 deaths had been confirmed since the violence erupted last Friday. Relatives on Wednesday mourned the death of a 14-year-old boy killed in the violence that has left South Africa on edge, as the government urged communities to work with the law enforcement agencies to stop the looting and violence. Residents and eyewitnesses claim that the boy killed is called Liamini. He was shot by members of the minibus taxi associations that were guarding the Chris Honey Mall that was being looted. Apart from the 72 deaths after 6 days of violence, 1,234 people have been arrested. Officials in Ethiopia's northern Amhara region have vowed to launch an offensive against forces from neighboring Tigray. A spokesperson for the Amhara region government said they are impatient and also stressing henceforth they have opened an offensive. Tigray rebels have captured much of Tigray in recent weeks, with the federal forces and their allies having to withdraw from key areas. Retired members of the security forces, caught up as volunteer militias, have been asked to mobilize. Tigrayans forces are pushing towards territory seized by the Amhara early on in the civil war. Both groups see it as rightfully theirs. It is feared the heightened tension could lead to a fresh and even more bloody phase of the conflict. That's it for the first part of this newscast. Up next, Talking Points. Good evening once again. You're welcome to Talking Point. We're having as guest Dr. Nick Gwanyambi. He is a political actor and educationist. Good evening, Doctor, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Innocent. It's a pleasure to be with you again, and good evening to our listeners out there.
It's been a very rainy day.
Yes, it rains heavily. I mean, it started yesterday and it continued today. Of course, you have to expect that in Douala. When you're in Douala, going towards the Buncha, all these areas, they're always very wet.
I'm sure it must have disrupted some of your activities, your busy schedule for today.
Well, when you come from the northwest and you're here, you have to learn to work with the rain. If you've got some serious business to do, you just have to go ahead and do it, in spite of the rain.
What I say is just playing its role, eh?
Yes, of course. Thanks.
Okay, let's dive straight into serious business. Recently, we had the minister delegates, Felix Mbanyo, in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth, who was in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, received by the President Muhammadu Buhari. And during their discussion, a lot of things were discussed. One thing that actually struck my attention was the reaction of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, who says Nigeria would never support separatist agitation in Cameroon. How did you receive that?
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's a very exciting topic, and we could spend a whole day just talking about it. And even before I get lost in many details, let me just start by appreciating Minister Mbayu. I think he was the right person to go to Nigeria because, amongst the current ministers, he's one of the most level-headed persons. He's never rude, and he always keeps his calm. And I remember, him at the major national dialogue trying to help the Prime Minister to look for solutions to these problems. Though in their works, they are both Catholics, though in their work, but they left out God, and that's why the major national dialogue did not work.
So are you saying that other ministers, like Mr. Paul Atanganji, he always represent as well, all of them, they are not calm in handling matters?
No, they all have
they are
their...
not smart?
No, they're very smart. Everybody is smart in his own way. I like Minister Atanganji because, like for us Anglophones, we get kicked around, whether you're a minister or whoever, you get kicked around by others, but nobody, doesn't matter who you are, you can't kick around Paul Atanganji. So everybody has got his something about him, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Thanks. So now back to our Buhari story.
Yeah, you were saying something concerning Felix Mbanyo. You were appreciating him.
Yes, he's a very level-headed person, and I guess if most people in the government were as level-headed as he is, we will not be where we are today with all these problems. But I guess he doesn't have a free hand, because if they had solved the problems in the presence of God, if God were in attendance during the major national dialogue, then he would not have gone to Nigeria. There would be no reason for him to be going to Nigeria. It's because they carefully packaged out God. Though the hall was filled with there was the cardinal and bishops and many other people, Muslims and clerics and so on. They filled the place with what you thought was God, but they carefully packaged out God, because if truth had come onto the table at that major national dialogue, there would have been no need for him to go to Nigeria. So you see, that now reminds us that there has to be a dialogue, reconciliation and unity in this nation, so that we look for something that really works, because up until now we've not found a medication. Okay,
you see he's a rightful person chosen by the head of states to send to Nigeria, and the president Muhammadu Buhari said that his country, Nigeria, would not support separatist agitation. Is that the reason why the Julius Isseku Ayuk and co back to Cameroon?
No, if you want to understand what is going on, you need to step back a little bit and not be emotional. Even if you woke up President Buhari in the dead of the night, let's say at 2 a.m. and say, what is your situation? Even within his sleepy mind, he will still tell you, I can't support it. The reason being that, the disease that affects the cocoa affects the coffee. And therefore, when you are prescribing the disease, be careful of your own backyard. Like they say, if your neighbor has a problem in his house, even when you are trying to give him a hand, be very careful what you are saying and doing, because you are also going to dance to the same music. Don't forget that Nigeria, as we speak, Nigeria is also brewing, just like Cameroon. You've heard about the Igbo problems, in the east, exactly. And then you know about the Yoruba land, the Middle Belt, and the North. If you are not careful, that country can blow up into four chunks. So, and don't forget also that it doesn't matter what we do. You have the Americans, the Europeans, everybody is kind of, there's interdependence in the world, and you would ask the question, would America let African countries break up? And if you've been listening very carefully to the advice from the Americans to Cameroonians, they want a united Cameroon, not a broken up Cameroon. And it's the same message they are giving to Nigeria and to everybody, because if countries start to break up, at will, there's going to be so much chaos that things cannot be handled around the world. And we already have so many fires burning all over the whole place. But if we step back a little bit again and find out what is going on, that we have all this heat all over the whole place, that people must be running around trying to beg each other for support, you realize that Nigeria has almost about the same problems like Cameroon. There are problems of bad governance, bad economics. There's a youth
security challenges too.
Yes, the security challenges. Yes, there are security challenges. There's violence, but it is not it's not what is triggering it. When you are seeing the violence, the Boko Haram, all these things and all these agitations, is because there was some homework that was not done. All right, and so people are angry. People try to revolt. So when like someone was saying somewhere, you don't have to be building more prisons and training more military people and more gendarmes and police. That's not the solution. There is something that you are not doing to your youths, that you are not doing to your people, that is making them angry, and therefore they are revolting. So if you can solve that problem, dialogue, listen to them and solve that problem, you will have you will sleep in peace. And that's where Africa is failing. You know, the leaders don't listen to the problems of the people and think that you can use force to push things down their throats. It doesn't work like that. Things work through good governance, love, respect, merit, and so on. When you do the right things and make sure that your economy is good. And when I'm talking about a good economy, it's not what we have. A good economy, if manufacturing and industry are lacking from your economics, then you can as well say that it's a primitive kind of economics. So if you want to find out what kind of an economics do I have, don't be telling me you had a 4% growth, a 7% growth when you're selling tree trunks or selling oil. That is not economics. The real economics is when the gray matter of your youth is producing the money. It's about gray matter and it's about manufacturing. If you don't have those in your economics, it's not good. So these are things that are making the whole thing look so difficult. And be it Cameroon, Nigeria, we have to start doing things properly. I mean, all of Africa, really. We have to start addressing ourselves to problems, change our education, and do things properly, and it shall be well.
Yeah, you're not scratching on the point, the reaction of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes.
He stands in support for the. He said Cameroon and Nigeria, they also share historic ties, common borders, as well as some other challenges. But we should equally recall that there's another historic ties with the people of former Southern Cameroon.
Well, see, those historical ties, and they don't really matter. Of course, it's true that when there was the Biafra War in those days, you know, Cameroon supported Nigeria in a way to get peace to that country by not helping the Biafrans. Okay, that's something in the past. But the bottom line is, if Cameroon is brewing now and Nigeria is brewing, it's not because of that past. It's because somebody is not doing their homework now. You get what I'm saying? The youth, the wars that are going to break up in Africa are the wars that are generated by the fact that youths are not properly taken care of, be they in Nigeria, in Cameroon, and so on. They are not following their developmental milestones because of the corruption, the bad governance, the bad economics, the poor education that doesn't give them the skills and the capacity to create their own lives, create their own wealth, marry their own wives, and so on, also travel. And we have a small elite in all countries that kind of like sit on the resources and then don't keep these resources for their families. So you have a mass of people who are in abject poverty. So it is this poverty formula that has to be solved. You know, you can talk your history for all I care. Say whatever you want to say. There are current problems on your table, be it in Cameroon, in Nigeria, in Congo, in Rwanda, where if you are not solving those problems, you will have problems.
But we're talking about two different people, two different backgrounds, and the others, they say they are marginalized. You don't even want to listen to them completely. We're talking about the resources you're talking about belonging to them, being exploited, but they are neglected. Little of the resources are being used to develop their locality. Before the Anglophone crisis, you saw Mancho BBC took to the streets, you know, talking about bad roads and so on. They were equally asking for equitable distribution of resources.
Yes, you can say that again, but you see, let's come back to the Anglophone problem. The Anglophone problem is a problem of marginalization of the Anglophones. You know, you kick them around like second-class citizens and you think they're not supposed to exist. That problem, you know, when you go back again, it's just an issue of greed that is playing, you know, and so many other factors, so that people are not at peace. What you want to do to solve the problem is step back a little bit and find out, what am I going to do so that everybody is at peace, so that everybody has a piece of bread, so that everybody has a good hospital they can go to, so that people can drive on good roads, so that our industries can work and so on. It's about effectively solving problems. If somebody were there, if you like, you can be there for 100 years, but as long as you're solving problems and people can feel comfortable, there'll be no problem. The problem problem is problems are not being solved and more problems are being created. That's the bottom line.
And people are deaf too. People are stubborn. They pay deaf ears to the population, the downtrodden.
I don't know.
And so on. How are we supposed to open their ears to listen to the suffering population?
That's why there's going to be a new dialogue, and there's going to be reconciliation. There's going to be unity, and that new dialogue is going to be different from the major national dialogue. And this time around, we are not going to make any mistakes. It has to be as it ought to be, so that we can solve these problems once and for all. Because if you go from the time we had the major national dialogue up until now, you see, there've been so many deaths just because we failed to do what was right, what was just, and what was good.
But don't you see, today we are just throwing water on a desk bag. We're calling for another serious dialogue. No one is reacting in Yaoundé.
No, dialogue
they say a dialogue already took place and no.
Someone who tells you that dialogue already took place and there's no other dialogue doesn't know how dialogue functions. Dialogue is a continuous process, and when you see that you have not done it well the first time, you do it better the second time. Dialogue is a continuous process. It's not a one or none phenomenon. No. Someone who's saying that means he just wants to is pulling a very fast one on you. Dialogue is a continuous process, and when you are succeeding, you should see peace and progress as a measure of your good job. If you are not seeing those, then you need to go and recheck your records and check what you did and correct where there were errors. Like I told you, we are having problems because God was absent at the last dialogue. When God is present, God is truth, God is love, God is life, God is principle, and God is infinite intelligence. When you bring these things to the table and you bring respect and merit, and God is sitting in there amongst the participants, the problems are usually solved. But when you leave God when you throw God out of the window and you try to use human wisdom, you will never get it right. Never.
And you said God was well packaged out of the major national dialogue. Yet you say dialogue is a continuous process.
Yeah.
Are you saying those in Yaoundé who are charged with ensuring that peace returns, they have actually hardened themselves? They don't want peace to return.
I don't know what they have done, but the bottom line is that we are not seeing any results. So it's left to everyone to kind of like draw their own conclusions. But the bottom line is, if you want the people to have the peace, if you want the nation to go forward, you must do it right. If you have not done it right, you're not going to get the results, period.
So you are an educationist. I'm sure you should be educating the Yaoundé government, because we're talking about dialogue being a continuous process, but they have ended at that level. Since they have been calling for another dialogue nationally and internationally, has there been any other dialogue to you?
There would be, there's going to be another dialogue, and that dialogue will be triggered by the COVID gate. Okay, COVID gate is a blessing that came to Cameroon and is going to trigger the next dialogue.
Don't you think it will just be about resolving the issues surrounding the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds? How will it affect the socio-political impasse?
No, it's going to be because it's really centers around bad governance and people not being accountable, have no respect for other people, and so on, never care about the wishes and the desires of the general population. But we need to come to a point where people realize that you're a leader, not a minister, not for yourself, but you're a leader for the sake of the people, and you are a servant. When we get to that point, we start having solutions. And when you start having administrators and leaders who have the mindset of what do I call that thing again? An informed, benevolent despot. When you have an informed, benevolent despot, when you have this kind of a mindset, when a lot of people start thinking like President Paul Kagame, like the president of Ghana, like this young governor in the Cross River State or something like that in Calabar here. I'm sure you know him. Yeah, when you start having people, big or small, who are thinking like them, who have the general interest above their own self-interest, then things are going to work. That is all that we need. We need to get away, get greedy people out of the way, and begin to have people in position of power who care about the common man and the common good is very, very important. And people who know how to correct the economics, correct the development, correct the education, and correct the issue of discipline in the community. You would have noticed that one of the problems that Cameroon is suffering from is the problem of lack of discipline.
And such people, do you think they exist in Cameroon, in Yaoundé, who can change things?
I don't know, but when the cloud is over, things would happen. They exist, it's just that they're suffocated.
Meaning they detect on them, they tell them what they have to do, or because you are there, you cannot feed the finger that bites, or you cannot bite the finger that feeds you.
That's going to change. That's going to change, because you see, President Paul Biya has been suffering a lot in the sense that he puts in place people who are supposed to help him to manage the country, but most of them, they care more about their stomachs than doing what is good for the people. And that is where the problem has been. And you know, he is getting to the end of all that he has got, and I guess he wants to put the country back on the rails. And to know that he is not happy, if you go to Kondengi, find out how many ministers and directors are out there and what for mismanagement, and you will see he will put all these people in place and ask them to do a good job, but they will fail to do it, and they will tell you that their hands are tied, but when it comes to stealing funds, their hands are not tied. So it's very funny.
And of course, the reason why many say the country can never attain emergence by 2035, no Cameroonian actually brought about this concept, but the Biya regime. Are they working towards that same way?
Just saying that there will be emergence by 2035 is just a slogan. Like rigor and moralization is a slogan. Grand debate, they're all slogans.
It's just a way to deceive Cameroonians.
No, he's not deceiving Cameroon. He is hoping that it will work. But you don't. 2039. What is when you say 2035 emergence by 2035? It's not political. It's not a political thing. 2035 means that the economy will be great. Children will have work, and then there will be good development. Something to see, to show. You know. But if you're just saying it and you are not doing what you need to do to have it happen, you're not going to get anything. And I looked at that document that was written, I think the strategic plan to get to 2035.
Yes.
It has to be, it's a business plan, so to speak, but the business plan is written more by civil servants and not entrepreneurs. To get to 2035, you need to have an entrepreneur's mind, not a civil servant's mind. That's the problem. If you have a civil servant doesn't produce wealth, a civil servant doesn't produce development, a civil servant. So when you look at it, what I'm saying in short is that if you were to give that business plan to a Singaporean or a South Korean to write it for Cameroon, it will look different.
You mean even a political transition would not solve matters?
Well, I don't know. God has the answers. God has the answers. God alone knows. But what I can tell you about political transition is that this thing we have, this thing of 350 political parties is a mess. And we need to come to a point where all these 350 political parties, including the CPDM, all die. And then the CPDM can resurrect as the progressive CPDM, and then the political parties resurrect as one political party, that they start articulating things with the country at heart, not individualistic tendencies. You have so many political parties because everybody wants to be a president. That's all, and they have nothing to offer, make a lot of noise, kick each other. That's why there's so much anger and hatred in the nation. But that's why we need someone who is there's a technical term for it, like it does not coming, but we need leaders who are informed, who are benevolent despots. An informed benevolent despot is, you know, that you say, okay, we are going to fix this road that is going down this from this city to this city. It's not for political debate. Everybody knows it's good. You get up and you get everybody to do it, period, and you keep it behind you and you do the next thing. But it doesn't matter what we do, if we don't change our educational system, we are going nowhere. And the good news is that we have also been where we've been so far because the colonial masters, so to speak, with the new colonialism, they have their knees on our necks. And if you now see, they've had their knees on our necks. What they have been doing is they have been milking the chicken that lays the golden egg for so long that the chicken is almost dying. That's why they are now trying to take the knee off so that the chicken can breathe a little bit. All right. So when you see a lot of
before they continue,
yeah, I don't know, but you know, when you are in a war or in a fight with somebody, when you get territory, reserve it. So what Africans should do is should wake up and then reserve some industrial territory, some economic territory, and so on, so that the people can have something to eat and drink. It's very, very important. But even if they take their knees off your neck and you don't have the capacity to develop your own industry and so on, you're going nowhere. It's very important that everybody knows that, and we have to have good governance in place.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, it was a pleasure having you today, and also your viewers. It was a pleasure having you on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Équinoxe Television. Thanks so much for watching. Have a splendid evening.